Hello and welcome back to my Rotary life here on YouTube and Instagram for the people that follow me on Instagram. So you've seen some changes on the Instagram. If you've not, we've got some things done to the car we're going to go through today. So the big changes are brakes. That's the first thing. So we've got new brakes. So EBC made me a lab set of blue stuff brake pads for the front and rear. They arrived, they're now on. I have to say, initially driving it, obviously I've not driven it on the track yet, initially driving it, the bite is actually not as good as the yellow stuff. I absolutely loved the yellow stuff on the road. Oh my goodness, they were like anchors, they were brilliant, absolutely awesome. These are more like an OEM pad on the road, so they do bite well. There's not much of a warm-up to them, but initially, when you're just sort of driving around, you've got to be a little bit more cautious because they're not quite as grabby as the yellow stuff were, but they work as well as the OEM. So I'm not complaining because they're going to do both sides of what I want. They're going to do the OEM, stopping me on the street, nice and safe. They're also going to deal with the temperatures and the wear that I had when I go to the track. So track at Cadwell Park again in 1 week's time. So the car is going back. I'm already in the prep for that. I'm going to show you some bits that I've done today, coming up after this, that we have done in preparation for the track. I've got upgraded bracing. We're going to put the actual carbon fibre skin underneath the front diffuser. So we've got the brakes, the bracing. I've got REMMA bracing up front now. That is beautiful, absolutely awesome. So stay tuned for that. That's on there now. And I changed the exhaust. So I've taken the titanium exhaust off and we're now back to the REMMA exhaust. And this is my first drive since changing it. And it's like, oh, it's just heaven. Honestly, it's just so much nicer to be in the car. It's nice and quiet, but without being too quiet. Obviously it's louder than the stock exhaust, but it's just nice. I can just enjoy the car and not piss anybody off, and I can get on a racetrack because I'm not over the decibel limit. So we're going to show you in a minute. We're going to go through the dB rating. I want to do a dB check myself with the same software that we did on the titanium, just for a direct comparison to the two. There were some issues there as well because I use an impact gun, a very, very good impact gun, to actually put the bolts back on, and I actually damaged the threads on the bolts, so I've had to put all new hardware in there, but whatever, that's just part and parcel. I'd sooner have it nice and tight and replace hardware every time than having a leaking exhaust, because that drives me mad. I've got a rattle in this door card somewhere. It's like up here, down in the plastics here. I can't quite pinpoint where it is, but it's in here somewhere, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy. Like, I end up driving with my arm here or pressing down inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the door card off and I'm going to put some like soundproofing in there or something to stop it rattling, because that drives me crazy. Oh my god, I hate rattles. And of course, yes, I know it's JDM. Yes, I know it's Japanese plastic. Yes, I know it's meant to vibrate, and they all do it, and it doesn't matter what you buy, whether it's a Honda or a Toyota or anything, they all rattle, and it's just kind of part and parcel. Because in Japan, it seems what they like to do is they spend all their R&D budget on amazing engines, like epically good engines, these amazing chassis and drivetrains, beautiful bodywork. Like the bodywork of, especially of the 90s Japanese cars, in my opinion, is probably the best on the planet. Like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. The 90s in Japan was the pinnacle of car performance and street performance for me. Like, they just kept getting better and better and better and better, and then of course emissions came in and standardization for safety and things like that, and made a lot of things no longer possible that they were doing before, and it kind of ruined the industry. Now that's kind of been lifted. We're starting to see cars like the new Acura NSX, which is just epic. Oh my god, how amazing is that car? The new Supra is on its way. Loads of videos out there, prototypes that are working, that are being run right now. Obviously we've got the GTRs kicking around. We've got the RX Vision, which I actually want to do a video on itself to talk to you about that because I've been following that very closely. I went into Mazda 2 weeks ago, literally to put my name on a list. Like, I don't care, just shut up and take my money. I'll pay you now, like whatever you want, like just put me on a list. I'll have an RX9, like just do it. And the salesman, first of all, knew nothing, of course, because they only need to know what they need to know to sell the cars they have right now, so that makes sense. So he knew nothing about it. So I ended up getting in contact with Mazda UK headquarters, and I spoke to a girl there, and I can't believe this. As it stands right now, there is no plans to bring the RX Vision, the RX9, whatever you want to call it, to the UK, and that kind of mortified me a bit. So another good reason to move back to North America, where they'll definitely be releasing it. Yeah, that was truly disappointing. So moving on, anyway, I could talk about that car all day. So yeah, so we've got the new exhaust, new, old. The old new exhaust that I took off that's now back on is back on. We've got the REM EMU bracing. Back there I've got a Cusco rear brace that turns out that it doesn't actually fit mine. I don't know if it's to do with the 99 thing. I can't imagine it would, but it doesn't fit at all. Like the bolt holes line up, but the bracing doesn't actually meet itself. So I'm gonna have to contact them about that because I can't even find a part number on it to confirm that it's the right part. So I'm kind of dealing with that right now. So the OEM one went back in. So yeah, we've got the REM EMU bracing. The front under tray's got to go on. The brake cooling. So I've got all this fancy brake cooling ducting that's got to go in. That's going to be a bumper off job, which I want to do anyway because the bumper needs realigning because it's kind of moved a bit. It's only a millimetre, but again, these are the things that bug the crap out of me. So I'm going to do that. But anyway, so yeah, I guess I've rambled on a little bit now. So what we're going to do is I want to bring you in this video, actually. I've been seeing a lot of videos about VTEC Yo and cars with VTEC recently, and looking at a lot of people going on about VTEC and when the VTEC kicks in. And it's kind of cool. I've had an EP3 Civic, and it was awesome. It was absolutely great fun. Oh my god, what a great car. And the shifter in the dash is awesome. Oh my goodness, that's so good. That should be the standard for any performance car, in my opinion, because it's like right there. It's awesome. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm going to show you VTEC in a Rotary, because with the ported engine, the single turbo and the exhaust, you actually really get to hear when the secondary ports open up, and the ports on this are huge. And the sound difference is, it goes from being like a normal Rotary to like some kind of demonic possessed creature rising up from the pits of Mordor, screaming its like satanic lungs out and just absolutely going crazy, ready to suck the world into its own vortex of screaming. And that is probably a really accurate description of what it sounds like. It's absolutely bonkers. And I've not really shown you, like occasionally in my video at Cadwell, you can pick up on it. And I've deliberately drove at Cadwell trying to keep it at bay, because I've got a sneaking suspicion that if I go past the start-finish line and they hear that VTEC Yo Rotary kick in, I'll probably get black flagged, because it probably doubles the sound of the engine. So there's potential there that it could actually trigger the noise level meter that they've got at the start-finish line. So I've been very cautious about hitting that point whilst I'm on the track. And in these videos, I've just kind of been tooling around at the speed limit, of course, tooling around the country lanes here in Yorkshire to show you what I've been doing to the car and what's going on. So I'm going to make a point of, I'll only be able to keep it legal. I'll only be able to do it briefly in second gear, but it should be long enough, maybe 3 or 4 seconds, that I can actually show you this thing scream. So we'll bring you that. That's something that I've not shown you before with the car, and again, it's to do with the porting and everything else that's gone on and all the mods, and that's kind of cool. So we'll bring you that. But anyway, so let's do the sound check. So get my trusty dB meter here, and let's have a look. So I think we were about 89 dB in the cabin before. So in the cabin right now, we're about 83. So in the cabin we've dropped down maybe 5 decibels, 6 decibels. See that? So it's about 83. So we have dropped 6 decibels in the cabin at idle, which is a lot nicer. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it does actually make a difference because of the way that decibels work. After a certain point, the actual ramp for the sound is exponential. So it goes up, and by the time you hit sort of like over 100 dB, oh, what was it now? Is it 100 and, it's around 130 dB. Every 1 dB is double the volume because of the way that the curve works. So that's kind of good. 6 dB doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. Obviously I'm talking to you now and you can hear the difference between the last video and this one. So let's go outside and have a look. So every time a car goes past, the noise level goes up, but we're now back at 98 dB. I mean, it is a beautiful exhaust, and I do love it to bits. And it does suit the car, obviously, because, you know, the whole car is RE Amenya. But here I am, you know, I can talk to you normally around the car now, which is kind of cool. Before I couldn't do that. There is a nice chunk of Yorkshire Dale mud in there right now. So let's go for a little drive anyway. Let's take you on the road and show you this VTEC Yo. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it. We're going to see if we can get some sound going on here. Let's adjust the camera a bit. See if we can get the VTEC Yo to show. Here we go. Definitely hear that. It's absolutely monstrous. When you hear it scream like that, that's like, honestly, it's like next level power shit. It's petrifying because the world blurs, which is why I said I could only do it in second gear, because if you're hearing that, the chances are you're going to be doing something you're not meant to do on a public road. Hence me having to slow right down into second gear and then just do it for literally seconds and then slow back down again. I've got a car in front of me here. I'm just going to slow down and get it right down to like 20 miles an hour so that I've got a bit of room there. I've got 40 miles an hour to play with. And of course this is right on a corner. So I'm at 3,000 RPM right now. So let's do this. Rotary, everybody. Don't listen to the hype. They're epic. It's all in the tune. It's all in the tune. It's all in the fueling. It's all in how you look after them. I've said it a million times over. Like, if you pre-mix, if you do your regular maintenance checks, regular oil changes, like check everything, check your oil levels, right? If you keep on top of your cooling, these things are awesome. There is like, technically, I'm going to get really simplified here, but there is 3 moving parts in that engine. You know, I was building race cylinder heads recently, And depending on the cylinder head that you're building, some of these things have like hundreds of parts in them, on top of everything else going on in the block. And a lot to go wrong, because like collets and things like that, like these are tiny little things, and they're sensitive to things like valve guide clearances and stuff like that, right? And it's a lot better now because you've got hydraulic tappets and things, but lifters and stuff like that, like especially on the older stuff, it does there's a lot to go on. But these things are so simple, and all you've got to do is look after them. You've got to warm them up properly, you've got to cool them down properly, and just look after them, and they'll look after you. Just don't believe the hype. RX8s are a different kettle of fish, because they had issues right out the box. They use crappy coil packs. They're garbage. Like, they're a right pile of garbage. And then you've got catalytic converters that, because of, again, emissions and everything else, the catalytic converters on it were so damn restrictive that it was literally cooking the internals of the engine. And Mazda, for the longest time under warranty with the RX8s, they were replacing crate engines into these cars and not doing any kind of like root cause analysis. They were just thinking, oh, it's a Rotary, it must be broke because it's Rotary, and just banging a new engine in, banging a new engine in, banging a new engine in. And the reality was, there was nothing wrong with the engines. It was the catalytic converters that were just massively restricted, and they were causing all kinds of issues internally in the engine, and eventually killing engines. And it didn't take long either. Like, the two best mods you can do to an RX-8, straight out the box, doesn't matter how old it is, just get rid of the cats, or put a high flow cat in there, put like a 100 cell cat in, and change out the exhaust, put a 100 cell cat in, and put like AEM smart coils in there, or LS1 coils, or something like that. Like, change the coils out, and that car will run forever with just basic maintenance. Like, they're brilliant. In a New York Minute, I would buy an RX-8, and that would be exactly what I would do. They are awesome cars right out the box. They are absolutely fantastic. They handle like trains. They're practical, they're convenient, they're not that bad on fuel, they're tunable, and they came really well equipped. You know, you can, and what's crazy is in England, they're like £350. That's like, right now, that's about $450 for like a 2005, 2006 231 horsepower. They're nothing. They're literally, people can't give them away because everybody's petrified of the amount of warranty and won't touch them, and they're everywhere. Like, if you're paying more than £500, which is about $700, if you're paying more than that for an RX-8, you're kind of being ripped off, unless it's really special and you've got like crazy like compression tables, or it's just been rebuilt or something like that, or it's track prepped or something like that. You know, they're great cars, and if anybody was looking for an economical way to get into going on the track, I don't think you could buy anything better for the money. Maybe an EP3 Civic, but they're even more expensive now that they're going up in price. But seriously, don't hesitate buying an RX-8, because these cars are epic. FDs now are going through the roof. Like, even in England, these things are going through the roof now. Now people are paying £25,000 for tricked out modified ones like this. People are paying top dollar for them that have been built well, and have got all the right parts in them. You can still get your bargains, but they're a bargain for a reason. So yeah, anyway, okay, so next I'm going to show you the next mod that I've carried out to the car. This is front and rear. I'm not sure how good the lighting is, but there you go. So we've got these are the lab made brakes that EBC made for me. This is due to the results I found coming off of Cadwell the last time, and it was good for about 5 laps with the yellow stuff, and then they just did not very much at all. So I called them up, I spoke to Andrew there, and he recommended going with the blue stuff, but they don't make these for an FD normally. So they had the template for the actual pad, so they actually made this set for me in blue stuff, and I got blue front and rear. I've also got some ducting to run down inside here, and it's going to come across and actually feed directly to the brakes at the front. that's going to cool down the brakes at the front. And since then I talked about bracing, so this is the new bracing in it. So as you can see, the engine's an absolute tip right now. I don't know if I can get you the lighting to show you that, but look. Oh, RE goodness. Straight out of Japan. So yeah, she needs such a good clean. Oh my god, have you ever seen it look that bad in 2 years? That's the worst it's looked. No garage problems right there, keeping on top of that. I will at some point get in there and really go to town on it, but all that's going to happen is a week later it's going to look exactly the same again. So there's not much point in doing that. So here is the diffuser, as you can see. Nice and shiny carbon fibre. Now I've had this sat there for so long, and I've been so put off by the roads, both in Nova Scotia and here. But seeing as we've got a track day coming up at Cadwell Park, I want to see how this performs, because if you notice here, look, it's got this recess here. So what it actually does is it creates and focuses a negative pressure underneath here and actually sucks the car down to the ground at the front end. So I'm really curious in comparison to the stock one to see how that performs and see if I actually feel a difference. I've heard good things about these things from people who do actually track their cars quite aggressively, so we'll see how it goes. But the nice thing is it's all pre-drilled and ready to rock, so we just need to bolt this in. So whilst I was trying to put the front under tray on, and you're never going to be able to see this, basically I'm going to need the car on a lift. There's 2 bolts back there that actually support it up to the subframe. The front screws aren't an issue, self-tapping screws, whatever. That wouldn't be an issue, but getting it in there on the ground here is going to be impossible. So I'll scrap that one for today. I'll get to work and we'll get it on the lift and do that at work. That's a little 10-minute job. But unfortunately I couldn't do that, so I won't know how it feels until I actually get closer to the time we get on the track. That may actually be its first experience with it. That's a shame. Something else that happened as well, whilst I was changing the exhaust out, one of the bolts, the threads are crap and it's all rusted up, so I've changed all the hardware underneath as well for nice new stainless shiny stuff. So yeah, I shouldn't have an issue getting it on and off in the future. That one was a bit gnarly, quite well chewed up. So see the threads there if I take the top off. That's the problem when you use like 600 pound-foot impact guns. You can tend to chew them quite well, and you can see the hardware there is just gone. Yeah. So anyway, we've got new stuff in there, so that's good. But shame about the diffuser underneath. I would have liked to have tried that today. Quick thing, final thoughts before I finish here. So I've changed my YouTube. I want to talk about YouTube itself. There we go. YouTube has undergone some problems recently. One very publicly with advertisers pulling out because of content being displayed for advertising on extremist and racial hatred and all this other stuff, and inciting hatred channels. And they've a lot of these manufacturers that are quite high profile blue chip manufacturers have pulled out of YouTube, and the figures I think were something like it's going to cost YouTube $750 million in lost revenue from them pulling out. There's been a knock-on effect, a ripple effect for about the past 6 months. There's been this trend through YouTube. So I've mentioned in my previous videos that I make a couple of bucks out of doing this, and it's not why I do it. I do it so that I can bring you what I'm doing here. The fact that I get a couple of pence every now and then just helps things like buying GoPros and things like that. In fact, actually, it's little things, but to run this channel, to do the stuff I do, is massively time consuming and expensive. The editing can take me a day to do, and then all the modifying and then buying the parts, and as you know, on this car, like even stupid things. So by the time I got this stupid gear knob here into my hands, that there, I had that imported from Japan. That is genuine RE. I did the unboxing video about a year ago, of my REM order. And by the time that landed in my hands, I think it was like $100 and something US for the shifter, maybe $120, plus freight, plus tax, and then converting it to Canadian, because at the time, obviously, I'm living in Canada. And I'm pretty sure I worked it out that shifter was like $200 by the time I was finished. $217. And it was missing the REM sticker. And it's things like that. Like, all this is really expensive. This body kit, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands. The brakes alone the other day, you know, them brakes alone cost me the best part of like $500 just for getting them to make me some pads. So it's very, very expensive, time consuming, blah, 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 blah. Point being that YouTube right now, and this is everybody, I've spoken to people who do metal detecting in World War II, time period and things like that. It doesn't matter what your channel is, how many subscribers you've got, everybody's seeing it. And basically, the revenue that I'm getting now off YouTube has dropped, even though nothing has changed. My content is actually getting bigger, and the production value is getting bigger, and my subscribers are getting bigger. What's actually happening right now is I have seen a 700% drop in revenue for my channel, right? So the graph was up here, and then it's just kind of doing this. And it's been like that for 6 months, and it's a kind of like hidden known issue with YouTube right now. So I've had to change out some things. So the way that we get any kind of revenue from YouTube is by likes, shares, comments. How long you watch the video is the most important thing. And some of my videos are epically long, and I'm not saying watch it all, but that's how we get any kind of revenue now. And of course the adverts. So in order to keep this channel going, to be able to support all the stuff that I have to do, I've had to enable unskippable ads. So just bear with it. Like, just watch the ads. Some of them are quite good. Some of them are useful, especially like on my how to check a turbo video, very popular video of mine. And several people have then used that to click the link, which takes them to the turbo to replace for their Subaru or whatever. And that has worked really well for some people. So just bear with the adverts. Some of them aren't very relevant, and I understand that, and just kind of deal with it. It's just my way of getting a little bit of revenue to support things like batteries and memory cards, and allows me to bring you content and software. Like, I've changed software recently, so you've seen a different production value now. I've moved away from like a generic media manufacturing software to a dedicated one, and you're starting to see that now in the videos. All this kind of costs money, and the way that I can support that is through the channel. So I'm going to keep bringing you these as long as I possibly can, before it actually starts costing me money to actually do it. And right now it's costing me money, so I don't want to stop. But if YouTube either has to figure their shit out, because it's just getting beyond a joke now, or the channel's going to stop, or I'm going to have to do something to keep the channel going. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like right now, but we'll figure it out. But so just bear with the adverts, guys. It does kind of suck, and I do appreciate that. But that's kind of what your side of showing your support to me. But just to put it in perspective, for every 10 seconds of advertisement you watch, because I did research this yesterday, because it's just getting beyond a joke now. Like, I haven't seen any kind of substantial revenue from it, and I did actually look into it, and right now YouTube is paying per 10 seconds 0.0004 cents per 10 seconds. So you have to watch 4,000 seconds, or whatever it works out to be. Is that right? Something like that. Anyway, that you have 10,000. I forget now. There was a number associated with it, so I think it was like 10,000 or something like that, or 1,000. Anyway, it's several thousand seconds of advertisement that people have to watch before I get 1 penny. Which is great, because if you've got videos that have got like 55,000 views, which I have, and some even more than that, then it starts to kind of add up. And some advertisers pay a little bit more than that. It depends on what the company is that's doing it. But just to put it into perspective, I make pennies off this, like literally pennies. So any pennies that I do get go right back into the channel and making these videos and supporting the channel. So just bear with the adverts, guys. It's kind of a needs must right now. Once they figure their shit out, I'll put it back to skippable and you can just skip it or whatever. But if it's not relevant. But just bear with it right now, and please understand that by watching that, you are supporting me. By liking the channel, you are supporting me. And sharing it and commenting and things like that, it is supporting me. So let's keep producing these videos. Let's keep bringing you stuff about the RX-7. Let's keep bringing you project cars.